Alright, chapter 2, problem solve. Again, you don't need to do step 1. Okay, step 2 is on the dividend worksheet, dividend portfolio. We're going to center and bold B2 to F3. So remember our selection cursor, our copy cursor, our move cursor, and our copy cursor. Selection, copy, move. Okay, so I want to be in my selection cursor, so I'm going to click and drag. Now I've selected this whole area. And I want to center, so that's an alignment, center, and then bold as a font. Okay, and then we're going to center and merge A1 through N1. And we're going to center and merge, okay? And then we're going to go do a style setting, a cell style. So I'm going to go to my styles group, and yours may not have cell styles, but it would have something that looks like this area with an arrow next to it. Okay, and you're going to hit the down arrow until you come to titles. Okay, so I'm going to select title, and then I want to bold that. Okay, so now we're going to select N12 through N16. And I'm going to hit the control key and come down here and select this area as well. N20 to N24. So by hitting the control key, I can come over here and select something. I can go anywhere and select and do the same thing to everything that I select. Okay, I don't have to be contiguous or connected cells. I can just do any cell I want using the control key. Okay, so now we're going to do the sum function. So we're going to come up here to our editing group and click on auto sum. Yours might just say sum, but either way works. Okay, and then basically what Excel did is it knew there were numbers to the left, and so it said, oh, I guess you must want to sum those up. And that's what it did. Okay. Alright, so now we need to calculate the average dividend, average of total dividends received. Okay, so here's our total dividends received. Now, we could do manually figure it out, equal all of these added up divided by 5. Okay, but we want it to be a little bit more dynamic than that, meaning if I insert a cell or a column, then now I've got 6, and I would have to come in here and automatically change this. If I make it dynamic, I can add cells in here anywhere I want, and this would change based on what's in this information. Okay, so we're going to use another function in this auto sum. Click the down arrow, and we're going to select average. Well, maybe. There we go. Okay, and again, it knew there was numbers to the left, and it says, oh, you must want to average those. And you say, yep, that's what I wanted to do. Okay, so step 6, we're going to add a style heading 3 to G7. Notice it selected all G7 through J7 because that's a merged and center field. Okay, so again, I can select, so I'm going to hit my control key and then hit B10. And then I'm just going to come down here and hit B18, but I'm actually not going to hit it. I'm going to select that one. Okay, because it's a merged cell, I can click anywhere on this line and get that whole line. Right, now we're going to apply a style heading 3. So again, come up here to your styles, cell styles, go down to headings, and we're going to select 3. Now we want to apply the currency format to B4 to F4. And so that means I've got to do Control B6 to F6 and B8 to F8. Nope, to G8. And then I'm going to do B12 to N16 and B20. And notice here it says N25, so I'm going to a row that has nothing in it. Okay, so I'm selecting a row with nothing in it, and that's okay. We're going to format everything. So I want all of this to be currency. So I'm going to go to my number group, and that $sign looks like currency, but hover over it and it says it's a counting number. So we don't want that one. So I'm going to come up here to my down arrow and then select currency. Now they all have changed to 2 decimals and the $sign next to them. Okay. Now in B7, we want to calculate the yield of prime steel. Notice it's prime steel up here. So the annual dividend per share divided by the price per share is how you calculate the yield. Right, so I'm going to create a formula, and to do that I hit the equal sign, and it says dividends per share. So where's my dividends per share divided by my price per share. Okay, and you can type these in if you want. I always just actually click on the cell just so that I don't fat finger something. Okay, but that's my yield. It's 3 cents per share. Okay, and I'm going to take this across to F7, and then we want to format this section as a percentage. So notice I have a percentage showing here, so I don't have to go select this, but I can. Okay, I can do this one, or I can do this one, either one. Okay, if I select the one here, notice it gives me 2 decimals. If I select this one, it only gives me the whole number. Okay, so if I did that one, I would need to increase my decimals or decrease decimals. So that's how you can do that quickly. All right, now we're going to hide rows 10 through 17. And the reason we're hiding these is we actually don't need this information to be shown, but it is needed for calculations. So we can't delete those rows or this stuff changes. Okay, so we want to leave this here, but yet still use it. So we're going to just hide it. So select 10 through 17, right click, and hide. Now you notice I go from 9 to 18. So if I needed those back for whatever reason, say some formulas changed or something weird, just select 9 and 18, right click, and unhide, and they come back. Okay? Alright, so now we're going to format A19 through N24 as a table. So I'm going to come in here and click on Insert, and right under there is a table. My table has headers. Notice I have stock, January, February, March. Okay, so I'm going to keep that checked. Click OK, and now I've just created a table. And notice when I did that, I added a toolbar. Okay, all of these were here, but now I've got an additional one called Table Tools. So anytime I'm wanting to work with my table, I want to go to my table tools before I look anywhere in here. Alright, so the next thing we want to do is style our table with a light 11. Okay, so I'm going to look at my table tools. I have style options, but then I have styles group over here. So this is the arrow I was talking about earlier on the cell styles. Should look like that. Click on it and it gives you the full list. Notice I have dark, medium, and light. So I want light 11. And notice in your notes or in your instructions it says, note, depending on the version of Office being used, the table style name may be white table 11. Okay, so you want to read those notes. All right, and then now we want to sort by stock. So we're going to come over here to my stock. This is the name, right? Here's my stocks. I've got this down arrow. Let's see what it does. Okay, I can sort, I can filter. I can only look at 5, pulse 10, right? Okay, but I'm going to sort A to Z. And now I just flipped everything into alphabetical order. And then I want to turn off my filters. I want to get rid of these. Now I don't need them anymore. So I'm just going to turn them off. And then we want to add a total row to the table. So again, don't come down here and try to do it manually. Look in your table tools first. Okay? Total row. Boom, it puts one in here for me. And then I want to calculate the sum for each one of these columns. Okay, so I'm going to click on this cell like I would, maybe come in here and do an auto sum. But the nice thing is on a table, it's got that already for me. So I'm going to click the down arrow, come over here and hit sum, and then I'm going to copy that across. And if you notice, I can come in here and any of these, and the down arrow is already saying sum. Okay? Step 12, apply a top border. So notice when I put in a total row, it put in a double line automatically, and we want to change that. So I'm going to select the whole thing, look at my table toolbar, and see if there's anything in here that might look like borders. And I really don't see anything. So then I'm going to go back to home, just start looking. Okay, so in my home I have this font group. And I have this funky looking window with an underline underneath it. Notice it says bottom border. So I'm going to click on the down arrow and go, oh, there's a top border. That's what I need to do. And now it just changed it to a solid line instead of a double line. Okay? Now notice if I'm not in my table, I don't have my table toolbars. Okay? So the next step is to style some stuff. Okay? So I need to style A20 through A25. And then I want to style B25, so I'm going to hit the control key, through N25. And then I'm going to hit the control key again and do N20 through 24. So notice now I have my toolbar back, table tools bar. So I'm going to go here first. Okay? And this is just going to style tables, so I don't want to change my table styling, right? So maybe I do need to go home. Okay, I really want to just change cell styles, not my table style, but just cells. So I'm going to go back to my styles group, cell styles, and now I'm going to do it to, let's see, accent 3. 40%. Okay. Now you see that outsides are a little lighter than the top. Okay, now we're going to apply a conditional formatting. So I'm going to select B20 through M24 and go up here to conditional formatting. And we want the top 10 items. So I'm going to do a top bottom rule, and then I'm going to select top items, top 10 items. Could do 10% to bottom 10, bottom 10%, average or below average. But I'm going to do top 10. and we want to change it to green fill. Click OK. And then if you do multiple, say I come in here and I realize I did the wrong thing, okay, say I did highlight greater than 500. Okay, notice it changed those, and I submitted it this way, and it's like, oh shoot, you know, I need to change this back, and I come in here, select this again. Now you come to conditional formatting, and you want to go down to manage rules right here. Okay, because if you have too many in here and they're wrong cells, you're going to get it wrong. Alright, so this one I messed up and I don't want it in there at all. Okay, so I'm just going to delete it. And then this one, if I had the wrong color or had the wrong cells, I could change those here or delete it and just start over. Okay, so make sure you always go to manage rules just to double check what's out there, because that may give you issues on your submissions. Okay, now we want to turn off grid lines in the dividend portfolio worksheet. Now there's two different places I can do that. Page layout, because that's a layout issue. View grid lines. Takes them away. Or I can go to view and notice there's grid lines here too. Okay, so either one works. Doesn't matter which one you select. Now we're going to go to documentation and enter 12, 15, 20, 18. And then we're going to type our name. You write your name, not mine. And completed Mr. Malley's monthly, oops. And it says to make A1 the active cell. Okay, to do that, just hit Control and Home. Oops, Control Home. Control Home, I believe. On a laptop, I had to hit Control Function and Home. But anyway, so basically, if you don't, you can also just come up here and click A1. That makes it active also. Now we're going to spell check, and we want to spell check the entire workbook. Okay, so I'm going to go to Review and spell check. Okay, we're going to ignore this. We're going to assume that they spelled his name right. Ignore it. Okay. Dividend portfolio is correct. It's not separated, okay, because that's the sheet name. So we're going to ignore that. And then it says we're good. Okay, now we need to go do the same thing in our dividend portfolio. So I'm going to jump over here, make A1 my active cell again, and then hit spell check. This should be correct, so I'm going to ignore. And then now we see received is spelled incorrectly. So this is not in the, it could be relieved. So if we wanted that one, we just click on it. Okay, but whatever's highlighted is usually what we want. So I'm going to highlight that and then click change. And then you're good. Okay. Now we need to change the orientation for both of them and set the width to 1 page for both of them. So again, I'm going to do the shortcut. Okay, so I'm going to click on Control and click on Documentation so they're both highlighted. And now whatever I do to one, it does to the other. So I'm going to go to my page layout, change it to landscape, and then change the width. Notice where my dotted line is right now. This is where it would end. Change it to 1 page, and now my dotted line moves somewhere. Okay. Now we want to ungroup this. See, notice I've got it grouped. You don't want to turn that in grouped, okay? So I'm going to ungroup it, right click and ungroup. And then it says change the print setting to print entire workbook. If we go to File, Print, okay, and then Settings is right here. It says Print Active Sheet. So whichever one you were on is going to be what's showing. Okay, and now I'm going to say entire workbook. And notice I changed to 2 pages. And now I have both of the things that I was working on. So entire workbook, settings, entire workbook. Go back, save, and you can turn that in. Chapter 2 is done.